impossible has happened. Unbelievable. No record for human life. Off to the races. Can they catch it?
Now he takes off the shirt. He's running down the middle by the 50. He's at the 30. He's bare-chested and banging his chest. Now he runs the opposite way. He runs at the 50. He runs at the 40. The guy is drunk, but there he goes. The 20. They're chasing him. They're not going to get him. Waving his arms. Bare-chested. Somebody stop
Look
that
out.
man.
Here comes the blue coat,
Oh,
Kevin.
they got him.
Here
They're
comes the
coming
blue
from the
coats.
left. Oh, and they tackle him at the 40-yard line.
I'm talking about balls deep. I'm talking about balls deep. I'm talking about balls deep in love. I'm talking about balls deep. I'm talking about balls deep. I'm talking about balls deep in love.
And now for our feature presentation.
Balls Deep with Devin Jovan.
What's going on, guys? Welcome back to another pick'em for Balls Deep. To get into it quickly, last week Devin's record was 4-1. Mine was 1-4. Obviously, the Patriots game could have gone a little different. With Cam Newton being down, that game being so close. Maybe the records would have kind of shifted a little bit. Devin possibly could have been 5-0, having picked Patriots. Maybe me 3-2, having picked the Patriots as to win and as my lock.
Upset.
Or upset. I apologize. And so now that leaves our official records for the whole season at 14-6 for Devin and me at 9-11. Never forget.
You gotta get above 500.
Yeah, we still got a lot of season left.
I don't know. Not after what's been going on with the COVID, we might not have a full season.
Yeah, we got a lot of stuff going on with COVID. So who knows how much longer we're gonna be making these videos. But with that being said, we're gonna jump into the first game of our pick'em, which is Indianapolis Colts versus the Cleveland Browns. Who do you got for this game?
I tried telling you last week that the Colts defense is something serious.
Mm-hmm.
And that was when we were talking about the matchup against the Bears. And I was proven correct. They were able to hold Big Dick Nick to very little points. Something that Tampa Bay couldn't do this past Thursday because he reigned supreme on Tom Brady and the Bucks. So I'm gonna go again with the Indianapolis Colts, primarily because of their defense. Cleveland was my upset pick last week, and they looked really well against the Cowboys. But who doesn't look very well against the Cowboys? So I think their offense, got a groove going, and I think it'll continue this week, but to limited capacity, because I think the Colts are going to get the better end of the stick. Obviously, the X factor, in my opinion, is Phillip Rivers and Baker Mayfield. Whoever can, maintain the turnovers, because they're both turnover machines. So whoever can limit the turnovers will ultimately win. I'm going to go with the Colts primarily because of their defense. Xavier Woods, he's kind of looking like his old self. Not exactly his old self, but he's getting his old juice back. And then DeForest Buckner at the line of scrimmage he's filthy. There's nothing around it. And I don't think Cleveland's offensive line is going to be able to hold him.
I might go opposite. I'm going to go Browns this week. They obviously proved me wrong last week. Baker Mayfield was able to make a lot of, good plays. The offense got rolling, which they have been, seems, for the past couple weeks. And not to mention, although that Colts defense is really good, the Bears offense isn't as highly powered, I would say, although I do feel they have a better QB. It's not as highly powered as that Browns offense is with Kareem Hunt, Jarvis Landry, and Odell Beckham Jr. I mean, three very, very good players. Obviously, if Chubb was still there, that'd be another huge difference because they're probably the best running back duo in the league. But I'm gonna go with the yes, I'm gonna go with the
No,
Browns.
I'm saying I didn't make that face because you said probably. It's
Yeah,
undebatably.
yeah. So I think I'm gonna go the Browns just simply because I think they have a lot more high-powered offense than the Bears do. Um, and obviously, I think the Colts will be able to. What was that?
You said,
No, the Bears. That's what I'm saying because
oh,
it's
you're
gonna be a
comparing
lot
them to the
harder for
Bears.
the
Gotcha.
Colts to keep them low scoring. Although I do think they'll be able to keep them to a lower score. It's really hard to trust in the Colts offense. Really, I mean, they're kind of really being anchored down by the defense right now. So I'm gonna go with the Browns.
Yeah, I think it's gonna be a low scoring game. I mean, it's just think about it. The Browns were able to score 49 points last week against the Cowboys, and Baker Mayfield only threw 165 yards. So it's crazy how they're able to, create points. Kareem Hunt, obviously, he stepped up with Chubb going down, and I think he's used to being the bell cow from his time with the Kansas City Chiefs. So this is his time to prove that he's still capable of doing just that. I would like to see the Browns win, but I just don't see it happening.
Yeah.
So that moves on to our next game.
Yep.
And our next game is actually the Vikings versus the Seahawks. Should be very interesting with the Vikings, getting the first win last week. It was against the Texans, but they were able to get their offense going. Their Kirk Cousins didn't look like a turnover machine like he has all season. But that defense is atrocious, to say the least. And they were able to hold their own for the most part, because that game did run very closely against the Texans. So they were able to hold their own to come away with the victory. And then the Seahawks are 4-0, and they got currently the leading, candidate for MVP in Russell Wilson, and he was my pick for MVP, and he's proven me right at the given moment. But last week it was a tough game against the Dolphins. They, had some challenges that no one really seen coming. So who do you have in this matchup?
I think this game will be a lot closer than people might anticipate, simply because I mean the Vikings have a good offense. They've had no trouble putting up points this season, and really what separated them from going 1-3 to even 3-1 or 2-2 is the fact that like you mentioned, Kirk Cousins isn't able to take care of the ball and that defense. But they've been capable of putting up just as many points as has been put up against them. But like I said, those Kirk Cousins turnovers, I think he's got 6 touchdowns or 6 interceptions right now. If those turnovers are kept down, it could be a lot different record for them. So I do think it's going to be a high scoring game because Seattle's defense really has kind of looked like a shell of itself. And now with the news of Jamal Adams not playing this week, I think it's going to be a lot closer than people think. I think it's going to be a high scoring game. But with that being said, I'm going to stick with the hot hand. I'm going to go with Seattle. I mean, obviously, we've seen what Russell Wilson has done. He's tore up a lot better defenses than Minnesota has. So I think he's going to go off today. He's going to have another MVP game. And I got Seattle winning this.
And I was tempted to go Minnesota, simply because Jamal Adams was out, and last week their defense didn't look that good without him back there. But there's no way I'm picking Russell Wilson against that shitty defense. That defense is terrible. He's about to tear that ass up this week, especially after him having a subpar game last week against the Dolphins. The Dolphins' defense is underrated. They have a better defense than Minnesota.
Yeah.
I think it'll be a high-scoring game because I think it's going to be hard for both teams to, stop one another just with their struggles at the moment. With Seattle not being able to pass rush on the opposing offenses, and then without Jamal Adams being there, having that have him solidify that secondary. Where the Vikings, they just can't stir up anything on defense. Yeah. So it's going to come down to turnover, the turnover battle, and who's able to protect the ball more. And Russell Wilson is better at that than Kirk Cousins is, especially at the moment. So I'm going to go with MVP Russell Wilson against the Vikings. I do think it'll be a high scoring game. I think it will be a close game, but I think Russell Wilson will come out on top.
Yeah, definitely. With that being said, we're going to move on to the last game of the week, and we're really hoping that this game still goes on because, Tennessee is having a huge problem with COVID right now. Another coach just tested positive, so and that just happened. So obviously,
we don't know if this game's happening.
We don't know what's going on. We don't know if this game's happening, but it's probably one of the better games. It is one of the better games of the week. It's Buffalo versus Tennessee. What do you think is gonna happen, transpire in that if the game goes on?
I mean, I think before the COVID, even after the COVID, so Buffalo's winning. I do think Tennessee's overrated. They're undefeated, but I do think they've run a little bit with luck for the past few weeks, and I do think they should have lost week 1 with the struggles of Gostkowski. I mean, he's decided he wanted to go back to his prime self again, but I do think that they're overrated. The Bills are exceeding expectations, and I didn't, and plus with them not being able to be in the facility. Yes, they had their practice that they weren't supposed to have, and that's why they got in trouble and why so many tests are still popping up till this day. But I'm going with the Bills. They're on a hot streak. Josh Allen is looking like a top 5 quarterback in the league at the moment, and the Titans haven't really beat anybody. Yes, they're 3-0, but they beat the Broncos, the Jaguars, and the Vikings, all of which only have 2 wins, together.
Total, yeah.
Yeah, so they haven't really proven anything to me at least. Whereas the Bills, they beat the Jets, the Dolphins, the Rams, and the Raiders. The Rams and the Raiders alone have more wins than anyone that the Titans have played. So I'm going to go with the Bills. They seem to be the more proven team.
Yeah, same with me. I'm going with the Bills. I completely agree. I don't think that Tennessee has really faced a true test other than, like I said, possibly Minnesota because they have such a good offense. They're capable of putting up so many points. I think that game was 31-30. And obviously, like we said, Kirk Cousins, a few turnovers here and there, that could be totally different. And even that game could have had a much different outcome. And like you said, Buffalo's playing really well. They're exceeding expectations. I honestly thought they were probably a couple more years away from being this good. Josh Allen's playing MVP caliber football. Obviously, we know he's not first. There's a couple guys ahead of him because they're having insane seasons, but he's playing MVP caliber football. They're playing really well. Tennessee, obviously, with the lack of even being able to be in the facilities in the last few weeks and not being able to practice, even though they had illegal ones, but just not being able to get your regular practices in throughout the week and not having played a game in what feels like I think 2 weeks or no, a week. I just don't know how they're gonna come out here, face a rolling Buffalo team and get a win. So I got Buffalo winning this as well.
Yeah, they can easily be 0-3 just as much as they're 3-0. They beat the Broncos 16-14. They beat the Jaguars 33-30, and like you said, they beat the Vikings 31-30. So all those games could have went in either direction. They could easily just be 0-3 just as much as they are 3-0, which is why I say they're overrated. And I do think if the game is played, they'll get exposed today. So they haven't proven enough, and especially with all this COVID stuff happening, it's not playing in their favor, in my opinion.
Yeah, and so with that being said, we're gonna move on to our lock and upset picks for the week, where we pick a team that we have as a lock win for the week, guaranteed, in our opinion, gonna come out with a W, and our upset, a team that is not expected to win this week or not supposed to win this week, but we think has a good chance of winning this week. So with that being said, who do you have your lock? Who do you have as your lock for this week?
What does Charles Barkley say? Guarantee. I guarantee that the Cardinals will beat the Jets. It's simple. It's easy. I'm taking the easy dub this week. They're playing the Jets, who fucking suck, and Joe Flacco's actually under center this week instead of Sam Darnold. I don't know how well that's gonna pan out, but he didn't look well when he was with the Broncos. I don't think he's gonna look well with the Jets because I feel like the Broncos had a better offense to surround him with. But I'm going to guarantee that the Cardinals will bounce back this week. After 2 losses straight, they're going to come back and get their third dub of the season.
My lock is going to be the Chiefs against the Raiders. Obviously, I've said in the past I think the Raiders are a lot better team than people give them credit for. But obviously, we know what the Kansas City Chiefs are capable of. They put up 26 points against a great New England defense last week, which is also a team that I actually picked the Raiders to upset New England, and New England went off. They thrashed the Raiders. I do think the Raiders are a talented team, but they play too much inconsistent football, and they're not just good enough yet to compete with these teams, and it's been obvious. The Chiefs are capable of putting up 26 against, the Pats defense, and the Pats were able to thrash the Raiders. I mean, that in itself, obviously, matchups determine how close games are. I just think that the Chiefs are even worse matchup for, the Raiders than even New England was. So I think they're gonna have a day, and I got the Chiefs winning by a landslide.
All right. I see you. So to move on, we're going with our upset picks of the week. I'm gonna start, I guess. I'm gonna go with the Philadelphia Eagles upsetting the Pittsburgh Steelers, and one because the Eagles are coming off a victory against 49ers, which was an upset in itself, and I think Carson Wentz might have figured something out on the offensive end, but primarily the reason why I'm picking the Eagles is because of the Steelers. And in my breakdown, I said the Steelers are a sleeper team to make some noise in the AFC, but right now they have yet to be tested. And I'm talking about with actually good team. The first 3 matchups that they've had, all 3 teams have a combined 0 wins. So they played the Giants, the Broncos, and the the Broncos. The Broncos they got 1 win because I think they beat the Jets. So they got to combine 1 win. Whoop-de-doo. So they played the fucking Giants, the Broncos, and the Texans. So I do think they're a really good team. I do think they'll still make some noise in the AFC. I just think they haven't been tested yet, and the Eagles aren't a team to really test you because they stink too. But hey, that's the point of the upset. So they're not expected to win. They're currently 7-point underdogs, and I'm going to pick them to upset the Steelers this week.
Yeah, I mean, I was tempted to pick the Eagles myself. I mean, we've seen flashes of them being able to do some special things. But with that being said, my upset pick for the week is the Giants against the Dallas Cowboys. And to refer to what you said earlier, who doesn't look good against the Cowboys? the Giants have obviously struggled getting their offense going, and surprisingly, their defense has been, the bright spot on their team. Even with a lot of young, unproven guys, they've been able to keep a lot of good teams, off the scoreboard, and ultimately have really lost games because their offense hasn't been able to put up points, and the defense is on the field so often that they start to get tired late in games and start to get scored on. But with that being said, with the struggling Cowboys defense and how bad they've looked, I'm hoping that the Giants are going to be able to get some things going offensively, and start putting up some points. I mean, we saw what the Browns were capable of. We obviously don't have the talent that the Browns do, especially with Saquon Barkley down, Sterling Shepard out. But the Dallas Cowboys have not looked good at all on defense anywhere. I mean, I picked DeMarcus Lawrence as Defensive Player of the Year. He's looked awful.
The only bright spot on that defense is Alden Smith, who hasn't played in like 6 years.
100%. I mean, DeMarcus Lawrence doesn't look good at all. Their secondary is awful. Like we said, what do they and Odell have in common? They like being shitted on. So, I'm hoping that the Giants will get some things going offensively. I think it'll be a really close game. And I think it's going to come down to the defense. And as of late, our defense surprisingly has been a lot better than theirs. So I think we got that win.
I think it's going to honestly come down to the matchup of our offense versus their defense. Who makes the big plays?
Yeah.
Because with the Giants, they are able to make it to the red zone, but they can't execute on these touchdowns. They're always resulting in these field goals. And part of it is because of Daniel Jones, his decision making, but it's not all on him. The offensive line has looked terrible. They haven't really given him enough time in the pocket, which also they don't open up the run holes in the run game to allow us to open up the pass game. And the receivers don't create separation. Darius Slayton is our best receiver, but he's really a number 2 receiver. We don't have a number 1. Golden Tate, he's washed. He's not what he used to be, and he's more of a slot guy. And Shepard's hurt. And Ingram, he needs to go. I like him as a player. I like him as potential. I remember saying this off camera, but Darren Waller is what the Giants were hoping Evan Ingram would be. Yeah. Similar play style, similar body types, but he's always injured, and whenever he's on the field, he has a bunch of drops. He's not able to secure those catches, and he doesn't really have the chemistry with Daniel Jones as he did with Eli Manning. He was probably Eli Manning's go-to guy past couple of years. Not so much for Daniel Jones, is more of Darius Slayton. So I think they'll be able to create more separation this week because they're playing the Cowboys compared to in weeks past. So hopefully that'll make the difference. But like you said, with the defense, I don't think the Cowboys haven't had a high scoring offense this year, but I don't think this week is going to be a week where they score a lot of points because our defense has been playing very well.
Yeah, I mean, another key for this game, in my opinion, is Daniel Jones. Like you said, receivers haven't been able to create separation, and he's really kind of forcing a lot of passes. He's got a ton of turnovers this year. I mean, no different from last year and any other game. And so, I mean, with receivers being able to create a little bit more separation, hopefully he's not forced to throw balls in tight situations and throw those interceptions that he's been throwing, really since he's started playing for us. But with that being said, it's still going to be a close game. I mean, it's Dallas week, so plus 10 attributes for all our players. But like I said, hopefully with them being able to create more separation against this kind of terrible Dallas defense, he's not forced to make those terrible throws and put us in bad situations, giving the Cowboys offense a short field. So
yeah, Jesse Garrett's making his way back to Dallas for the first time in the big blue. So hopefully he will rejuvenate the offense somehow, some way this week to get a victory over his old team. Daniel Jones is our leading rusher on the season, and he's our quarterback. But literally, they have the same issues on offense that they did when they had Eli Manning. Daniel Jones literally reminds me of Eli Manning for the simple fact that he's forced to force certain passes because of what he has on offense. The only difference is that he's more athletic than Eli Manning, which explains why he's the leading rusher on the season. Eli Manning wouldn't even have half those rushing yards. So hopefully like the last play that last week that pretty much sealed it when he threw the interception. He could easily ran it for like a good chunk, and live to play another play, and we could still won that game. So if he limits those kind of mistakes, and especially in those crucial times, I can see your upset pick coming to fruition.
Yeah, and with that being said, that is going to be the conclusion of our, picks for this week. Hopefully I got some better luck this week than I did last week. And also hopefully that Tennessee Buffalo game doesn't get canceled, because that is looking like, the potential for a really good game. So hopefully we get to watch that, and hopefully, all these COVID tests start to slow down so we can continue to make these breakdowns week to week and continue to watch some football.
Yeah, the Titans need to chill the fuck out. Because, bro, they're not following football protocol, and that's the main reason why their team is fucking infested with COVID tests.
But now it's the Pats, too. I mean, it's kind of hitting everywhere now at this point.
Yeah. So. But I forgot what I was going to say. But I do want you guys to know that we appreciate you guys. We'll give you guys an update with, the Balls Deep Fantasy League pretty soon. The standings at least. Because I try to show, the draft, but I don't know how well that turned out. But I'll update you on the season, the standings after, week 5. Being that, we're talking about week 5 right now. So we'll give you an update, and
spoiler alert, I'm killing it.
Your team's killing it too on the IRs. So as always, we appreciate you guys for tuning in. Catch us next week with some more news. Hopefully we can talk about some NBA finals, MLB playoffs, and college football. College football started. So just tune in next week. We got something for you guys. And as always, would you like to finish?
Peace.
All right. Peace.
I'm going undefeated this week.
You're talking about balls deep.
I'm talking about balls deep. We're talking about balls deep in love. I'm talking about balls deep. My boy's talking about balls deep. We're talking about balls deep